My name is Mark. This is Markeology, and I'm going to attempt to tell a story from start to finish about what's going on in the world and all sorts of other stuff. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not anything I've heard on Fox News or MSNBC or anything else. I'm like the old telephone switchboard operators where you had the ladies and call up and you'd ring your phone and, hey, item A, can you ring Sally at 53B? And then she would ring. She made that connection from point to point. Prior to that, there was no way to coordinate or correlate or anything those two data points. And so I've spent a lot of time in working with Chinese culture. I have some very, very good friends that are Chinese. I have worked in sustainability. I've worked in telecom before Y2K, how the telephone networks were actually constructed, the wireless telephone networks. I had this really unique experience, and I've always been very attentive to the world of politics. I've not identified as a Republican since before 1992. I used to be a libertarian. I've given up on them. So I'm just an American. The problems that we face today actually are so much bigger than Republican and Democrat. And this story that I'm about to tell is hopefully a wake-up call. And I'm going to do a second version of this video where I probably take clips of this and then I'll do things to the side, like a video of the switchboard operator, whatever. So, when George H.W. Bush died, there is video and it is still very hard to find. There's video that shows the presidents that attended the funeral. So the Clintons were there, the Carters were there, the Pences were there, the Bushes were there, obviously. The Clintons were there. So somebody set up cameras in specific areas to record the reactions of these presidents that got these envelopes. Donald Trump did not. Melania did not. Pence, Laura Bush, Hillary Clinton, I think Bill, the Carters did not. The Obamas did. And some of them didn't really react too much. But as George H.W. Bush's casket was being let go of going out of the cathedral, Laura shows the envelope, the content, the note, whatever's in there. She holds it up and shows it to Jeb Bush, and he does and just could not believe whatever was in that. That always struck me as something very, very strange. And there's always been rumors about George Bush and the New World Order and all of the other stuff. Today, the problem is China. And I'm actually going to get to China in a second, but I'm going to explain why China is important. So, I don't know about Donald Trump. This is not a defense of Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has to do with the Bidens, and it has to do with the Obamas, and it has to do with the Bushes. It has to do with the Clintons. It goes back that far. I've always thought that Bill Clinton had been blackmailed or something had happened because he gave away missile technology to the Chinese in violation of agreements, and that was the way that the Chinese were able to even start launching weapons. These are the same Chinese that still can't find enough pilots to launch fighter off of their brand new carriers. They're still short of qualified pilots. They would do nothing if they hadn't been handed it to them. Bill Clinton gave that to them. Bill Clinton and the Republican Congress also overturned the Glass-Steagall Act, which prevented banks from getting into the stock market and insurance and all of that stuff. That regulation was put in place after the Great Depression. I was driving in Dallas, Texas in a Volvo S60, driving to an AT&T central office, hearing NPR make that announcement, and I just shook my head back then and said, oh. So, that is what enabled 2008. That is what has enabled everything that is going on today. All of the inequity, all of the unfairness, everything, it goes back to the Glass-Steagall repeal. So let's say for a second that George H.W. Bush, that something really happened there. And it was something that didn't involve the Carters, okay. Reagan's weren't there, don't know. Clinton's, yes. Obama's, yes. Biden's, yes. It had all of these people, all of these former presidents. They get these cards. There's some reactions that just don't appear to be staged. Certainly not at a funeral. I mean, sure, anything could happen, but it doesn't feel like that. So, who is George W. Bush? Well, George W. Bush was supposed to get the Republican nomination in 1980. He was Nixon's ambassador to the UN in 1970. So Kissinger, and I'm assuming, Kissinger and Nixon are the ones that opened up relations with China in 1972. Shortly after, George Bush, the ambassador to the UN, in contravention of all sorts of norms, because Taiwan was recognized as the voice of China, I'm pretty sure, at the time. So I'm now thinking that Bush may have been corrupted. He may have actually had some stuff happen with China. The Chinese are smart. They are patient. They think in very, very long term. They are sneaky. And I'm focusing on the CCP. I'm focusing on the Chinese Communist Party, which is about 100 million people strong in a country of between 1 and 1.4 billion, depending on whose numbers you believe. By the way, China has human flesh pills that I just saw on a news story. They are ground up aborted fetuses that are basically freeze-dried, and then they grind them up and put them in pills. And they're sold as medicine now in China and South Korea. This is who we're dealing with. The Chinese believe that they have evolved separately from all other races. The white race, the black race are inferior. They evolved from Peking man, and this has become part of their mythology. This is who they are. This was really started being drummed into their kids in the 70s. So everybody that's around today, this is what they were taught. The Chinese Communist Party are the new Asian Aryans. They believe themselves genetically superior. They think they are going to take over the world. They think that they should be able to do so by, I think 2049 is like their goal to finally be done with America, but they want America basically destroyed by 2030. So Xi Jinping is going to have his 20th Congress, Party Congress, on October the 16th. He was able to get the Constitution changed so that he could run for a third term. Xi Jinping wants to be on par with Mao. He grew up during the Cultural Revolution. He starved. His family, I think his dad starved to death. He knew hunger, he knew everything, and that he dedicated his life to the party. The party is supposed to be dearer than your own parents to you. Um, Xi Jinping hates the money and the capitalism that has come into China, and so he started smacking it all down. If you remember a guy named Jack Ma I think he was the owner of Alibaba. Um, he was disappeared for a long time, and now he is very closely managed. The Communist Party is now going after all of the celebrities, um, all of the rich people. They're going after them all, and they're going to take all of their money. It's called Common Prosperity, and it's part of I mean, it sounds just like WEF's. In 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy.